Okay, and we're live.
Hola, ¿cómo está?
Okay, come on.
Anyway, so yeah, thanks for joining us. So we're gonna go ahead and let our guests introduce themselves. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Josh. I run the Sarcasm and Liberty Twitter page, and I also co-run the Facebook page with my brother Jason. We've reached over 1,000 likes and followers on the Facebook page, and Twitter's getting up there. I think we're at like 1,300 now. So we're both libertarian. My brother's been libertarian a lot longer than me. Actually, we're like raised very conservative, so we're both kind of recovering still from that. I still am slowly pulling myself back. But yeah, I mean, it's become an outlet for both of us just to get some of our frustrations out there. When we first made the page, it was Sarcastic Libertarian. And then I found out that there was already a Sarcastic Libertarian on Facebook. I was like, I don't think we can compete with that. So as like a placeholder, I changed it to Sarcasm and Liberty. And then we just forgot about the page for a long time, for like over a year. And then we went back and tried to start redoing it again. My brother, he makes memes for Think Liberty. And he just recently I can't say yet who he got the invite to start making memes for, but it's a big Facebook and Twitter page.
About that later.
Yeah, once it's like all like he's allowed to announce it publicly, I'll bring it up. But it's one that I'm sure everybody that's you guys and everybody that's watching already follows. Yeah, he makes all the memes. Like every meme I post is made by him because I suck at making memes. I'll come up with a lot of the captions for them. Like a ton of the memes we have, I've made captions, or it's like I'll tweet random things and he'll pull some of the quotes from my Twitter to make memes and stuff like that. But yeah, I let him do the memes because he does a much better job. Because I have examples of memes I've made and they're just not that great. Like yeah. So I can come up with good ideas for memes. I just can't actually make a meme.
Well, that works. I don't know. In there.
Yeah, we have a good trade-off. So, I help come up with captions and stuff like that. And he publishes all the stuff for the Facebook and helps run that. And then I do most of the Twitter work. So it's a pretty good, what's that?
I was going to say, we have your Twitter linked whenever this video posts, but we'll have to link your Facebook too. Cause I didn't actually know that.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't post about it. I don't post about it too much on Twitter. I should more often, especially now we have more Twitter followers than we do have Facebook followers right now. The war in Afghanistan meme we did, the one where it was tweeted it in response to something Ron Paul said about the State of the Union address. But it was in another year, the war in Afghanistan will be old enough to enlist and fight in the war in Afghanistan. So we made a meme off of that, and that's actually earned us quite a few new Facebook followers. That's been really big on Facebook.
Yeah, that was a pretty good viral one for you.
Yeah, that was a good one on Twitter too.
Yeah. I think we reached almost like 100 retweets or something on that one. It might have been that one. There was
how sad that is that we're still fighting this war that we were fighting into.
It's you guys seen that one? It's like it has all like a bunch of years going back, and then there's like all these pie charts, and you can see from like when you were born, how many years of your life the U.S. has been in some kind of conflict or at war, and that makes the rounds quite a bit. I can't remember if I've ever posted it. I should find it and post it. It's a really good one. But you can kind of go through and see. I mean, it's sad. Back to like 2001, and he already born in 2001. They don't know. They don't none of their life. My youngest brother's teen. So I mean, like his entire life we've been at war. It's crazy to think about that. Like somebody's entire life they don't know what it's like to live in a country that's not at war.
Yeah, and it's just going to continue because I know Rex Tillerson basically said. Kind of more advocate for just continuing what's going on over there.
Yeah, and I mean, Trump made it pretty clear in his State of the Union it's not going to end anytime soon. They don't have any intention of it.
Yeah.
And it's sad. I mean, a lot of people on the Twitter might not know I'm actually a veteran, and I've been deployed overseas. So like I've seen some of the stuff over there, and it's sad. Like,
Deployed.
Kuwait.
Okay.
Wow.
I was in Kuwait. Yeah. And I did like, when I was stationed at Fort Bragg, and for a while I was like the flag bearer for my battalion. So I had to do all these ceremonies, but I also had to do all these memorial services too, because they'd have all these units show up at these memorial services. So every time our brigade had one, I had to go to that. And I only had to attend one if somebody actually knew, which was rough because like he died on the same tour that I was on. And he was actually supposed to go home and get married. Like he was engaged and everything like that. Yeah. It was really sad. I mean, especially like seeing his family and stuff like that. And like once you like see so many of those memorial services, it just, after a while, you're just like, what a waste. You know, it's such a waste. These people, you know, they're giving their lives for something that it's not benefiting us in any way. You know, us being there, all we're doing is making things worse. And, you know, people are giving their lives for that, like their actual lives for something that's just, you know, it's pointless. It's pointless. It's become routine. You know, it's just this routine of like, well, we're there, so we have to stay there.
Yeah, and you just see how, you know, how they're trying to ramp up this war with, I think it's like Nikki Haley, you know, in the UN. It's like, we'll see what they're doing over there. We need to do something about it. You know, it's just going to be another one of those wars that they're trying to add.
Yeah, it's going to, I mean, and people are like, well, we need to go do something. And I'm like, but when's that end? You know, like we can't change an ideology.
If we're going to do something, then do what you say you're going to do and then leave. Don't stay there after the fact, you know?
Yeah.
That's
it's
the thing, though. If there were,
well, and that's a lot of things people brought up too. They're like, well, you know, somebody was saying something about when we left Iraq, and I was like, we never left Iraq. Like, that's a myth. Like, we've stayed in Iraq the entire time. Obama didn't take us out of Iraq. He ramped it down.
Yeah.
But we never left, you know. And I, after I got out of the Army, I did contract work for a few years at Fort McCoy in Wisconsin, where I actually took care of soldiers coming home from overseas. So, like, you know, during that time, you know, like I remember when they changed it from the War on Terrorism to, I can't remember the name of it now. Like, it was the Global War on Terrorism, and then they changed the like name of the war to something else to make it sound like, to take the word war out of it and the word terrorism out of it.
Wasn't it like,
it was
I don't know if it's what you're talking about. Wasn't it like Operation Iraqi Freedom or something like that?
That's the official name. There's Operation Freedom in Iraq and Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan. Yeah. So they actually went and they changed the name of Operation Iraqi Freedom to something else, and it was really gay. Like, it was just so dumb. Like, I can't remember what it was. It was so incredibly lame. It was just like, I don't know, something like an idealistic 13-year-old came up with. It was just really, really dumb. But I, for the life of me, can't remember. I don't even know if it stuck or not. I'll have to look it up. I remember that because, like,
Operation American Idealism.
Yeah.
Everyone's gonna love it.
Yeah. It was definitely, it was the entire point of changing it was to make it more palatable to like say, you know, like it wasn't as bad to say this operation overseas because it didn't have the word war in it, or it didn't sound like we were trying to free Iraq anymore. It was just dumb. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. So what was, when you were over there, you know, speaking about your tours, did you just go to Kuwait, or were you able to go to India? Just to Kuwait. Actually, the job I was doing in Kuwait, I tried to go into Iraq. I asked to like, I got sent as an advance party, and I was this group of 4 people from my unit that got sent to Kuwait, and then we were like tracking, because I was in logistics.
So we tracked all the equipment coming in off of boats. We sent it up to Iraq, sent them over to all these different places. And so once that mission was done, I tried to go up to Iraq with the rest of my unit, but they wouldn't let me. They were like, no, you need to stay here because we need you here for this other mission. So like they actually wouldn't even let me go into Iraq. I was forced to stay in Kuwait my entire tour. But I'm sorry to interrupt. On the chat, it says
go
ahead.
Google says they changed it to Operation New Dawn.
Yes, New Dawn. I thought Dawn was in the title.
What the hell?
What is that supposed to mean?
You're exactly right. It sounds like a 13-year-old like was watching too much Twilight.
Yes. Yes. That's right.
Yeah.
I thought it had the name Dawn in it, and I couldn't remember. I didn't want to say that and be like completely wrong, but yeah.
I didn't know that either.
Wow.
Yeah, that was. I'm trying to think. That was like I don't know, probably about 5 or 6 years ago. I think when they changed it. Probably maybe a little longer than that, but I know it was when I was still working as a contractor. So, and oh man, like that, I got stories I could tell you because everybody talks about like, I just people talk about how like important taxes are and stuff, and I'm like, if you had any idea how much money the government just wastes of like your tax dollars, people would probably be a lot less into the idea of taxation.
Oh yeah.
Like,
they only think of like, I don't know, I guess the good things, I suppose.
Like government funded.
Well, yeah, because I was like, well, it's important to fund the military, but I'm like, like I was in the military, I'm a veteran, I actually receive like some veteran benefits, like I get a pension thing from because they fucked my lower back like really bad. I have like 4 screws in my spine now, actually, like. It's been almost a year now. It was last year, February, I had surgery where they fused 2 of my discs. Like I've had back problems since I got out. But when I was overseas, when I worked as a contractor, what I did was reservists and National Guard, when they would demobilize, they'd have to go to a mobilization station, because you don't have a regular base when you're in reserves you have your home base, but you have to go to like a specific place to mobilize. That's where you get issued your weapons, you do some training, you get all your gear, you go, because if you're not active duty, you don't already have all that stuff. So when they would come home, they'd have to go through a demobilization process before they could go back to their actual home states. And I did the demobilization stuff. So there were things like, I would get a lot of people from Texas, and this is a good example. I'll use Texas. They would send, I was in Wisconsin. They have a mobilization station in Texas. I believe it's Fort Hood can mobilize. But they would send these units to Wisconsin to demobilize. And they would go through there, and then their containers come on a ship. And it takes about 30 days for your containers to travel the seas and come back back to American soil, and it usually goes into a port in Virginia. So the containers would come in to Virginia, and by this time, the people have already gone home to Texas. So the containers would ship from Virginia to Wisconsin, and then they would fly a group of people from Texas up to Wisconsin, unpack the containers, let us inspect it, make sure there's no materials you're not supposed to have, repack the containers. That unit would fly home, and then we would ship the containers from Wisconsin to Texas. Rather than just shipping the containers to Texas.
Yeah,
it seems like
I'm like,
waste of time.
And then I kept bringing it up, and then I actually found out the reason was there were contracts through these private companies that the government had contracts with. So they couldn't send them straight to Texas. They had to send it to Wisconsin. So these truck companies could get paid to drive them all the way to Texas from Wisconsin. So it was this government bureaucratic, weird kind of shady stuff that we're doing these deals. So it was it would just be so much easier if we just shipped it straight to Texas and we didn't have, we just bypassed it altogether. But that's how much, and that whole situation I explained, that was like a weekly occurrence for me. That was all the time, and that was one base. this happens all over the country where they do that whole process. Yeah, and it's nuts. Like, because I think of how many times I had to do it in the couple years I was there. And then I was one guy. I mean, I was handling all the units that came through there, but, you know, that was just one base, and it was all over the country. Every mobilization station did this kind of stuff. So I can't even imagine how much money was wasted just in that like time frame that I was working there. And then think of how like that's just constantly happening because we've never left Afghanistan. We're still sending soldiers all over the place overseas. Yeah. So there's all these mobilization stations. Yeah. You just think of how much in like just in a month, how much money is getting wasted on shipping containers. And I mean, that's just one thing, you know, that's one drop at the bucket, you know, like that's, you know, I got stories upon stories of just government waste from my time working in the government. I've just been like, it's unbelievable. And people are like, well, we need this. I'm like, I don't think you're like, no, exactly. It's easier to like be more idealistic when you're on the outside looking at it, because you don't know all these details. Yeah. You don't know how much is actually being wasted, like monthly. Kind of cool,
like hear your perspective because you were kind of living it. So actually tell us exactly how it is.
Yeah. And I mean, when I worked there, I was more conservative. I hadn't become like libertarian yet. That's part of what prompted my shift, you know, was just seeing so much government waste. Cause I was just like, you know, I used to be very idealistic about it. Like, it's good that we're going overseas. It's good that we're going to Iraq. It's good that we're going to Afghanistan. And then, you know, you get over there and then you work from the side, and then it's just like, this isn't as like, you know, it's not the same as you see it from on the outside. It's much different. And there's a reason a lot of military members become very disenfranchised with the whole like concept of going overseas and stuff.
Yeah, that's why when Ron Paul was president, you know, a lot of he got most money from the veterans because, you know, they don't want to be over there.
Well, I mean, Kokesh is a great example. His time in the military is what put him on his path, you know. Right. I mean, I've heard some of his stories.
Oh, yeah.
What's that?
We're going to interview him I think in March. So that'll be interesting.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, we got a lot
awesome. He's a cool guy. My brother went to one of his events and he live streamed it on our Facebook page. And then like Kokesh follows us on Twitter now.
Wait, and then or where does or do you like, you're not in Texas, right? Or no? Because I know he was on.
No, it was in Arizona. My brother lives in Arizona. I live in Indiana. My brother lives in Arizona.
Okay. Yeah,
that's why I actually like, I don't know if you saw that picture of us on Twitter. The two of us together. That was actually the first time we've seen each other in over 7 years.
Oh, wow.
Like, yeah. And it was, I mean, like, cause we buried my grandpa last week, Thursday, and that's what prompted him to come up. But yeah, he stayed at our house for a few days. It was actually the first time he'd met either of my kids. You know, he got to meet them, you stay with them for a while, get to know them a little bit. It was nice, but, yeah, it was sad circumstances, but I mean, getting to see him like for the first time in 7 years. We talk on the phone a lot. We talk through Facebook Messenger almost constantly. Like, we're always pitching stuff back and forth about because we want to do like a YouTube channel eventually where we'll do maybe some interviews. And when me and him talk on the phone, we'll talk for like 3 hours. And a lot of it'll be politics. So I've talked about like recording one of our phone conversations and then like taking like, you know, 15-minute chunks of it and turning them into videos. Cause when I tend to rant about politics, I get pretty, I start saying some weird shit. So that's probably, like my Twitter account, like contains a lot of just like my weird, like, ramblings and perspectives on things. I'll say some weird stuff sometimes.
So we have there's a couple of questions here. One's one's kind of, I guess, off topic, but I guess sort of on topic as well. They're asking what your opinion is on the Punisher as a
is that Dan? Is it Dan?
It's Madness.
Okay, I'm not sure. Okay. The Punisher as oh, okay. I think, I know who that is. I think I had a conversation with him about comic books.
Liberty is an army guy and a comic geek. Yeah. So
yes. Yes, I'm a big comic geek. I work for a small company. I write and edit for them. So I was a writer and I got brought on as an editor. I'm one of like 3 people that does editing for the group now. So I'm like upper management now with them. I actually like have to make all like, they're like anytime we like make decisions with books and stuff like that, like they have to get my okay and stuff on it, which is interesting. It's weird doing like writing for so long and then actually editing. Because I did some freelance editing for a while, and then so they brought me on for that. But I'm actually putting together a full-length comedy anthology comic book. I have this. I should show you guys a picture of this. I have this bulletin board. It's in my garage right now, but it's like covered in posts like index cards, and I have all these like. Because all these like writers are sending me stories. This one guy sent me like enough comic strips that would fill a weekly slot for an entire year. Oh, wow. He sent me all of the scripts for it. Yeah, I was just like, holy crap, dude. I was like, this is good stuff, but I don't have room for all of this. Yeah. I was like, man, I got like a 32-page book to fill. That would fill more than that. But yeah, it's just, I do a lot of that stuff. The Punisher... I'll take a 2-pronged approach to this. I love the Netflix series. It was a different direction than I thought it was going to go in, but I actually really enjoyed it. John Bernthal. I'll try to remember. I actually have a picture of me and John Bernthal. I got to meet him in person at a Comic-Con. Nice. It was cool because it was my birthday too. On the picture he signed for me, he wrote "Happy Birthday" and "Thank you for your service." Because I had a little conversation with him about PTSD. Yeah. Which. I actually found out. Have you guys seen the Daredevil season 2? I don't know if you watched any of that.
I haven't seen it either.
Okay. Well, the Matt Murdock and Froggy Nelson, they're the lawyers. They take his case, and then they want to do a PTSD defense for why he was killing all those people. And the Punisher's like, no, I'm not going to do that. That's an insult to people who actually go through that. So I talked to John Bernthal, appreciated the show's take on that, and then I found out that originally in the script, he was supposed to go along with it, the defense. And John Bernthal was like, no, I don't think that's right because that misrepresents what PTSD actually is. And I feel like that's kind of perpetuating a bad stereotype. So they went and changed the script where the lawyers are pushing for it. But John Bernthal's character was like, no, I'm not going to do that. Yeah. So it made me have a lot more respect for him as an actor and a person then because of that position. Comic books, as far as comic book Punisher goes, I was just having a conversation with somebody about this. Garth Ennis's run on Punisher Max is probably one of the best Punisher runs ever. That's would be my absolute favorite. It's really good. And Punisher Max, for anybody who doesn't know, that's Marvel's like 18 and older thing. There's a lot of swearing and like adult content and stuff in there.
It's like their Adult Swim version of Cartoon Network.
Yes. The Jessica Jones was actually, she started off in Max. It was their first title called Alias.
Oh, cool.
And the very first word in the book is fuck. And she's like, fuck.
Different from,
Yeah. Yeah. It's a totally different, because she smokes and drinks like crazy. There's a lot of like sexual content in there. It's very interesting.
Of Jessica.
I loved Jessica Jones, to be honest. It was very true to the comic book. Like, it was really, really good. They took some just images straight out of the comic book. It was nice. I like Kristen Ritter as Jessica Jones. I think she does a really good job. The only thing that irritates me is that she doesn't smoke, because she chain smokes like crazy in the comic book. And for some reason, they had her drinking a lot, but they like thought smoking would be too far. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you know how it is with smoke. So
yeah, smoking. So yeah, I mean, I used to be a smoker. I understand. Like
I haven't seen any of them because I don't know. I guess I don't know. I guess I just never got around.
I'm a huge fan. Like, there's a lot of like I haven't kept up on like Arrow or The Flash or Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I like refuse to watch Inhumans because it just looked retarded to me. But
yeah, a lot of the
like
it just seems like if you're on Netflix or Hulu or Amazon, you just have more freedom, I think.
Yeah, and there's just so much content to consume right now. If you're into comic books, it's insane. Like comic book movies and TV shows are a huge business right now. So there's just so much content out there. Trying to keep up on all of it's damn near impossible. Yeah, people who do watch all of it, I don't know how you have that time, but I definitely keep up on the Netflix series.
So, kind of staying on Marvel, since we're on that topic. What's your favorite Marvel movie so far?
Guardians of the Galaxy, hands down.
I'm glad that I agree with you on that.
Yeah, that's
the first.
That's my apps.
Like the second one. I think the first one as a whole was a better movie, but I think the second one was actually, in my opinion, was funnier.
It was definitely funnier. It was. I feel like they gave him even more free reign around the second time. What's his face?
Yeah, because it was such.
I can't think of.
I guess it was a gamble because they're like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, they weren't sure if it was gonna work or not, but they were just like, fuck it, do it, because you turned in like a relatively unknown comic book into like one of the biggest movies that they had. Guardians of the Galaxy is now a household name. That's impressive considering, like, if you said Guardians of the Galaxy before that movie came out, nobody would have any idea what you're talking about.
We learned too who was going to play Star-Lord. You know who?
Yes. I love Chris Pratt. Like, Chris Pratt, I would watch anything he does.
I wasn't even going to mention Chris Pratt. I was going to say who was actually, like, really, like, he almost got the part. Like, it was, like, this close. It wasn't Chris. But it was Glenn Howerton from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh, wow. That would have been interesting.
Really close.
Did you know?
I honestly think if he'd gotten it, it would have been a completely different vibe.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it would have been. Did you know John Krasinski almost got the role of Captain America? Jim from The Office?
You know what's sad? You know what's sad? I could actually see him in that role.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Like, I hadn't seen him in anything since The Office. And then I started watching some movies he's done. And I'm like, he's got some good range on him.
Yeah.
Like he can bulk up pretty good. Like, he was in some military movie where it was just like a completely, so far away from what I like am used to. Because when I think of John Krasinski, I think of Jim from The Office. And,
yeah. So I think both of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, I think, are my top two. But then Iron Man, my next. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I don't read the comics, but in terms of just the movies themselves, I love Iron Man 3 the best out of the Iron Man movies. And I'm sorry.
That's interesting. So many people get mad at Iron Man 3 because of the twist with the Mandarin.
I loved it. I loved that.
I thought it was great. It gave Ben Kingsley a great,
Stop being a fucking pussy and be like, okay, I'll do what you say. No, I'm gonna make who what? Like the most evil villain ever? No, I'm just some guy. Granted, Guy Pearce is like amazing, but
Here's the thing: they actually in one of their one shots that they do that are like on the DVDs and stuff, they fixed that.
Really?
It was the Mandarin is in jail and he's being interviewed, and then like he gets broken out by the people that are interviewing him, and they're like the real Mandarin like has some problem with you because you stole his name and his likeness.
Oh, that would have been pretty cool too.
Yeah. So that's technically canon in the movies. There's a real Mandarin out there somewhere that's So I don't know if they'll probably never, ever go back to it. But it's kind of interesting. It was like a little like, okay, we'll give you something, comic book fans. But comic book fans are finicky. They just get pissy about everything. Every time I'm like,
especially with Iron Man 2.
In a discussion, people are like, well, this isn't how it was in the comic books. So I'm like, so I don't want it to be exactly like the comic books. I love the comic books, but I want the movies to be something different.
They always change it anyway, so.
Yeah. Well, everybody was mad that Cap didn't die in Civil War. And they're like, it's not like the comic books. And then I'm like, if you read the comic books, Cap doesn't die in Civil War. He dies in the Captain America book after Civil War. And then they all get mad at me and call me a nerd.
I don't know that much about stuff. I know about Iron Man and some of this stuff, but I kind of wanted to change the topic. Sorry.
Nope, go for it. No, go for it.
Like relevant right now, but I wanted to change the topic to the memo that was just released.
Oh yeah. Okay, Shane, I watched your video that you posted. I was laughing so hard, especially at the end. Like,
you should have seen the one that I did the first time, but it was too long.
He made a video, but then it was too long for Twitter, apparently.
Yeah. So I have to find some way.
What's
on YouTube for some?
What's the Twitter limit? I didn't even know there was a limit on Twitter videos.
Oh yeah, you can't it's the same thing with the character thing. You can't post over like.
Oh, that's stupid.
Yeah, so I did give you the memo, so I don't know if you had any chance to read it or not. But I'm gonna go.
I haven't. No.
The bullet. Okay, so here's the I'm gonna read something. I'm gonna try and go as fast as I can because I don't.
No, go. Yeah.
But it's very relevant now. But I do take it with a grain of salt because again,
I mean, it was written by conservatives. Was that what I heard?
So again, they're all a bunch of bullshit.
Okay, I do want to say real quick because you said something like Paul Ryan said like this is gonna hurt the integrity of the.
Yeah, because it was a big story. Paul Ryan broke with Republicans saying I don't want this released, and John McCain, of course, he's gonna say what? Fuck that guy.
Yeah. Well, I'm like. Okay, if there's something that could be released that would hurt the integrity of the FBI, it needs to be released. Like, if there's a reason that the FBI's integrity, like, why would you not want that? Like, you're basically saying, yes, the FBI is corrupt, but we don't want people to know that.
Well, the funny thing is when, like, especially with James Comey, I mean, you saw how blatant people were like, I love James Comey, and then 2 seconds later, oh, I hate this motherfucker. The next minute, oh, I love you. It's like, make up your mind.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm gonna get down to it. So I was watching Dave's Problem on Gas Digital Network.
Okay.
But he was talking about this. It was like the whole thing was.
I was getting like fired up. I was trying to cook dinner and he's like trying to talk to me and I'm like, I can't pay attention.
Yeah. So he was basically saying that Carter Page, who if I'm 100% correct, I'm sure the chat will correct me if I'm wrong. But I believe Carter Page was on Trump's foreign policy committee when he was running for president. Yeah, and Carter Page, if I'm not mistaken, was pretty adamantly on not going to war with Russia. Which again, if you don't want to go to war with Russia, you're considered a Russian collusion. You love Putin.
Yeah, that's insane.
It's so dumb. But anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and read some of it for those who haven't read it or whatever. So, good luck with that. But anyway, so in the case, I'm reading off of it now. In the case of Carter Page, the government had at least 4 independent opportunities before the FISC, which means Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court, to accurately provide an accounting of the relevant facts. However, our findings indicate that, as described below, material and relevant information omitted. Omitted. That's important. That's a very important word. Omitted. So number 1, the dossier compiled by Christopher Steele on behalf of the Democratic National Committee in the Hillary Clinton campaign formed an essential part of the Carter Page FISA application, and FISA means Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. So it's basically the whole.
Okay. This is like way over my head. Like,
yeah. But Steele was a longtime FBI source who was paid. He was paid over $160,000 by the DNC and Clinton campaign via the law firm Perkins Coie and research firm Fusion GPS. And again, I don't care, conservative, liberal, I don't give a fuck. To obtain derogatory information on Donald Trump's ties to Russia, because I'm sure you remember when Donald Trump was campaigning, he was saying,
"Yeah,
what's the problem with being friendly with Putin and Russia?
Yeah.
What's the problem with that?" And everyone's like, "Oh, he must have ties with Russia."
Yeah.
And also Rachel Maddow, of all people, was saying on our show about, I think 2 or 3 days before Obama was leaving for presidency, Donald Trump was going to be in to be president. He
just dropped my phone.
That's going to be interesting. But he had put in. Hold on, let me read.
Are you all set
Sorry
up?
about that.
No, you're fine.
That's okay.
Yeah, I think I'm getting there. like my phone, because I have it plugged into the charger too, so it can't sit on my stand very well.
Oh, okay.
All right, I'm gonna take the charger out.
All right.
All right, wait. I can't see where my. Oh, it's pointing straight ahead. Why is it doing that?
Yeah.
What is it? I don't know how I changed that.
Uh-oh.
Shit.
Here, maybe if you turn it around and put it back on the stand, I'll tell you if it's pointing at you.
Yeah. How's that?
Yeah, that's good.
Is that good?
Yeah,
all right.
So
I won't be able to see you guys, but yeah.
Yeah,
that's fine.
I can see just fine, so it's fine.
Okay. I'll just stare at my camera now. That'd be good.
Yeah. But anyway, so like I was saying before, when he was in the campaign, he was saying, let's be friendly with Russia. They're our rival.
Mm-hmm.
What's friendly competition, whatever. And everyone's automatically Russian collusion. So then Rachel Maddow was saying on her show that Barack Obama had put in all these troops along the Russian border and all these nearby countries and whatever to kind of get some war with them. And so she was saying, well, what happens if Donald Trump becomes president and he takes all his troops and withdraws them and puts them, back to, America? Well, then what? Basically saying, well, maybe you're going to be a pussy about Russia because if he does, there's something going on there. Like, a far left progressive channel is telling you that if he takes these troops out, that's bad.
Yeah, that's pretty insane. Especially coming from Maddow, that's rich. Like,
yeah, oh fuck yeah, rich. Hell yeah, that's like $1 billion rich.
I can't. Maddow is just ridiculous.
Yeah. So the next point on here is neither the initial application in October 2016 nor any of the renewals disclose or reference the role of the DNC campaign, Clinton campaign, or any party campaign in funding Steele's efforts, even though the political origins of the Steele dossier were then known to senior DOJ and FBI officials. Next point.
Okay.
So the initial FISA application notes Steele was working for a named U.S. person, but does not name Fusion GPS, and Principal Glenn Simpson, who was paid by a U.S. law firm, Perkins Coie, and representing the DNC, even though it was known by DOJ at the time that political actors were involved with the Steele dossier. The application does not mention Steele was ultimately working on behalf of and paid by the DNC and Clinton campaign, or that the FBI had separately authorized payment to Steele for the same information.
Huh.
Okay. I don't know. Like, this is very high level for me. Can you make it in layman's terms?
So kind of in a way, it was based. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong here, but to me, it sounds like they were paying someone to get as much information as they could on Donald Trump to make him look like a Russian.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Yeah. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Man, that's creepy.
It is.
God, that's creepy. The government does some shit, but man, that's fucked. I mean, because everybody's like, well, it's terrible if Russia was involved in this campaign and that's why Donald Trump won. But then it's like, you guys are acting like that's so bad while your own party is doing this kind of shit. Like, come on.
Yeah, and I see people on Facebook, on my Facebook timeline saying, "That's it. This is all there is." I mean, how
It's like, I guess you didn't read it.
Well, either they read it, don't care, or they're so like sucking the Democrats' dick that they don't even care anymore.
Oh, yeah. No, people toe the party line so hard they lose all sense of reality. I mean, like, their party can do no wrong. Yeah,
and I joked about that. I said that, now that this memo is released, it looks like anti-Trumpists love the memo and pro-Trumpists hate it, as in,
Yeah.
Not, but I was saying that as a joke, but anyway.
That's fucked though. Like, it's insane, the kind of stuff that happens.
Yeah, I know. So I don't
know, like, how you can trust. I mean, anyone who can trust the government after reading this.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, I feel like everybody should have a healthy distrust of the government. And then you read stuff like that, and it's just like, how can you consume that kind of information and then still think like, well, they still want what's best for us. Like, I'm sure they do.
Right? It's like, how can you read this and think like, yeah, they still want our best interests?
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, so let me continue on. This is actually I think this is even more major. than what I just read.
Oh, wow.
So this is the second major point. The Carter Page FISA application also cited extensively a September 23rd, 2016 Yahoo News article by Michael Isakoff, which focuses on Page's July 2016 trip to Moscow. So just because he went to Moscow, I mean, you know, Russian collusion. This article does not corroborate the Steele dossier because it is derived from information leaked by Steele himself to Yahoo News, because Yahoo News is a free beacon of, you know, information. The Page FISA application incorrectly assesses that Steele did not directly provide information to Yahoo News. Steele has admitted in British court filings that he met with Yahoo News and other outlets in September 2016 at the direction of Fusion GPS. Perkins Coy was aware of Steele's initial media contacts because they hosted at least one meeting in DC in 2016 with Steele and Fusion GPS where this matter was discussed. So basically, they were having like this, you know, secret meeting to talk about this.
Yeah. God.
Well, that basically means because because Carter Page went to Moscow. Oh my God, fucking Russian collusion.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then point A, under the second major point, Steele was suspended and then terminated as an FBI source for what the FBI defines as the most serious of violations: an unauthorized disclosure to the media of his relationship with the FBI in an October 30, 2016 Mother Jones article by David Korn. Again, Mother Jones, a freak.
Anybody who reads Mother Jones and takes that seriously, I just don't know.
I know, right? I have a list. I put them on my list.
Yeah, her list.
I regularly make fun of them.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, okay, like Mother Jones is up there with like Salon and Vox as far as just like hashtag fake news goes, because that's just, I mean, I'll see people like I had it out with somebody on Being Classically Liberal on Facebook. Mm-hmm. One of their admins, because they posted a thing to the Vox article one time, and I was like, why would you post Vox? And they're like, well, just because it's like a shitty news site, we can't, like, you know, blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay, but like if you post information from Vox, it's readily available elsewhere to confirm it's true. Like, aren't you just kind of perpetuating this idea that Vox is reliable in any way?
Yeah.
Like, it seems ridiculous. Like, don't post articles to Vox unless you're like talking about how stupid they are, because there's no point otherwise.
Yeah.
If Vox has anything newsworthy, Vox or Salon have anything newsworthy that you say, it's somewhere else on the internet that you can find it for sure. Verify.
There's hundreds of thousands of different places you can go for news. Don't just watch.
Yeah. Don't read Vox or Salon. Like, come on. Or Mother Jones. Jesus.
Granted, if you do read them, then go look at other alternatives and be like, okay, well, maybe there's.
Yes. I always say that. Read multiple sources. It's fine to read Vox and Salon if you're also reading sources to see like what other sort. You know, if you want to just know what the opposition is thinking, you know, it's good to read Vox. I mean, like, I get into it with flat earthers sometimes. I mean, you want to talk about like
I totally understand, because like I got into that like whole like rabbit hole of flat earthers. Crazy.
I watched a 3-hour documentary about flat Earth.
Wait, do you know who it was by? Because I think I did the same thing.
I don't know who it was by. It was called Under the Dome.
Yeah, I watched something similar to that, because I'm just like fascinated on how
some of the most
come up with it.
Yeah, it was so insane. Like, they were like, well, if the Earth is flat, how do you explain volcanoes and magma? Well, the obvious answer is that these aliens put giant furnaces underneath the Earth that create magma. And I'm like, how is that the obvious answer? Like,
yeah, and and then they're like, nobody's been to the edge of the Earth, but we're sure.
Yeah. Yes.
Get to the edge because the military's guarding the edge, and I'm like,
oh yeah,
really?
Okay, well, they always cite the Antarctica Treaty as like, this is proof that there's something on the edge they don't want us to see. I'm like, no, the Antarctica Treaty is you're not supposed to make military bases there. You're not allowed to go there at all. Otherwise, there wouldn't be Antarctica research teams there all the fucking time.
Exactly.
Yeah, sure.
It's crazy. And then like they talk about like they go up in like a hot air balloon or something, and they can't see like the curvature.
Oh, the curvature. Yeah, there's no curvature. Yeah. We went up 100 feet and we didn't see the curvature of the Earth. Like, that's
serious.
I don't know.
And then they act like because all these videos will have GoPro, and they're like they act like there's this conspiracy by GoPro to lie to the people of the Earth and make it seem. Yes, it is. It's just like it gets more and more insane. The Under the Dome thing is like, if you can stomach sitting through it, like, it is so worth it just to be like, okay, have you ever heard of Spirit Science on YouTube?
No, I haven't. What's that?
Okay. Oh, geez, I don't even know how to describe it. It's okay. I don't suggest watching Spirit Science because it'll hurt your brain. Watch Armored Skeptics. Takedown of a couple of his videos, because there's this one where this guy keeps talking about this like Egyptian god, like things that this Egyptian god said or like fact, when like talking about is there's this like lunatic that says he speaks for this Egyptian god.
This is how,
and that they're getting and these people he's talking about like Jews are aliens from space. There was a time where Martians lived here. There was a meteor that crashed into Atlantis and destroyed Atlantis.
Like, mental disorder, I can't. Like,
yeah.
You're gonna have to see that channel
I will link you to Armored Skeptics videos because you can find it if you just search Spirit Science. But
does Armored Skeptic make like a parody of it or like makes fun of it?
Have you watched any of Armored Skeptics videos before?
I mean, I hate to confess, but like I'm a really big supporter of Shoe on Head, but I haven't seen any of Armored Skeptics videos. Okay, well, Skeptic kind of does the same thing. He plays bits from videos and then he offers like scientific counterpoints. And this one, like, he doesn't offer a lot of scientific counterpoints because there's not much science to counter with because it's just all a bunch of bullshit. But it's fucking hilarious because they talk about like this person's talking about this ancient like temple, and they're saying these like giant like 30-foot statues are what these people really like were, to scale. And then Armored Skeptics like, okay, if this is how big they actually were, then why is the fucking door to the temple so small? Like, they couldn't even get into their own goddamn temple. It's hilarious. I'll definitely link you guys a video after this. Link that afterwards because that sounds like good entertainment. I mean, it'll keep
it is hilarious. He has two videos. I think the first one's about 24 minutes, and the second one's like 45. They're so fucking funny. They're like he does 3 total. There's one he did a while ago because there's this video the guy did about how the moon is hollow and was put there.
What the heck?
By aliens, and it's so but they talk about it. Like the guy says, well, NASA did this, and then Armored Skeptic's like, yeah, no, they didn't. Like,
how do they come up with this stuff? Like,
I don't know, because he talks about how NASA detonated a nuclear bomb on the face of the moon, and like, oh my god, it's like, no, they didn't do that. They never did that. Like, good lord, it's insane. Like, it's just, and you have to wonder how these people like. Just where they come up with this stuff, and then how they decide that this is the truth with zero evidence to it.
I've seen some flat earther videos, but that seems like another level. I don't know, like like crazy.
Oh yeah,
like a higher level of like stupidity. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, like Spirit Science is like the like peak level of just retardation. It is so bad. Like they talk about this higher level of consciousness and all this stuff, and then like all these people, when like people do videos about it, you get these commenters like they're just trying to do some good for people, blah blah blah, and I'm like, how are they doing good by just flat out lying to you. Like,
yeah, it's like, what are we supposed to do about this information? Like, even if it was, what are we gonna do? Like,
right? Like, what is? Well, okay, and like, especially when it comes to conspiracies, like the flat Earth. My always thing is like, when it comes to a conspiracy, you have to ask who benefits from that, because there's no conspiracy if nobody's benefiting from it. Yeah. Who the fuck benefits from the Earth being flat? No one.
There was a stream about that. I don't remember who did it, but they were talking about like the government benefits from
the
government.
Yeah, I'm like, what are they?
How?
I don't know.
How does the government benefit from the Earth being flat? It makes no sense.
I feel like the only time I'd be like, I'm actually for the government on this one. Really, fellow? Come on, they're not that retarded.
No, I'm serious though. That's they did like a live stream of it, and they said like,
here's evidence of flat Earth.
Yeah, and they said
nice flat plate. I mean, why is the moon right there when the sun's right over there? I don't know.
They broke it down into like 6 parts, and then at the end said the government would benefit.
Okay, and like these flat earthers, they get like rabid too when like they're confronted with facts.
We should get a flat earther on here.
That would be great. Vsauce, he did a video like called "What If the Earth Was Flat" or something like that. And he talked about like scientifically what it would be like, how gravity would, like, you would basically be walking at an incline the closer you got to the edge of the Earth if the Earth was flat, and then how like the Earth can't be flat and all this stuff. And he talks about how you can scientifically prove that the Earth is flat, but then also some flat Earth theory like adjusts for some of these scientific facts to like make it somehow real, like the sun is a spotlight moving around the Earth.
That seems...
Yeah, and it's such a good video, but flat earthers went nuts on it, and they're complained about it. Like, you know, like, Vsauce, like, what he does is he just likes talking about stuff, you know?
Right.
If you ever watch the Vsauce video, he just loves talking science. So that's what he was doing, you know? He wasn't arguing, you know, the Earth is flat or the Earth is round. He was just saying scientifically this is what it would be like.
Yeah.
And these people lost their damn minds. It's just insane.
Basically.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's like anybody who's before, just today, not long ago, I was having this conversation with a dumbass on Twitter about taxes.
You mean like
I don't know if you. Yeah. Well, he's talking about how taxes, basically, like capitalism requires taxes and government. And I'm like, wait, what? Like,
yeah, like not really.
Yeah, I pulled a quote from one of his things where it was like, capitalism requires taxation and government, and then I quoted that, and then underneath I was just like, well, in caps, like,
Yeah.
Like, it's just, somebody posted a gif of Nathan Fillion from Firefly where he's just like,
Yeah.
I think I saw
it was like the dumbest thing. And then he just kept calling me a clown. Like, that's his go-to thing. And I'm just kind of like, well, it doesn't seem like you're taking this seriously. And then he was like, you're a clown because you think taxation is theft. And I'm like, okay. And then
your taxes.
Well, yeah. And the typical response is always like, well, how do we provide these services without taxation? Usually I'm like,
what do we do with them?
We don't need a lot of these services, for one. But two, there are resources out there, and I like usually post this link to how would we fund public services without taxation? And they offer solutions like a lottery and stuff like that, where people would give their money voluntarily and for their own benefit.
And like businesses would pay for roads because they would want to run business,
right? That's what I've always said, because people are like, who's going to build the roads? I'm like, the businesses that want people to drive to them? Like, who the fuck else would pay for the roads? Like, do you think roads are just going to disappear?
So, you know, why wouldn't they build the roads? Because they need the money and they need the business.
Exactly.
People would donate.
Well, and, have you I've seen stories of people going out to roads and patching up potholes themselves, and then the government coming in and removing the patches because they weren't done by government people.
Wait, seriously?
You know, I'm like,
crazy.
Yes. It's insane. Like, people will patch roads and the government will remove the patches because it's not done by government people.
Yeah, could you imagine
I'm like,
in the middle of the road and be like, I see it, and then like 2 years later, that patch is I thought the government was going to take care of that. So there.
Yeah.
You know what? Fuck this. I'm going to take care of it because the government's taking too damn long.
No.
Yeah. Well, people do that, and the government will come in and be like, yeah, you can't do that. You don't work for the government. We have to be the ones to fix it. And then they never fucking do. They will go and they would rather damage the roads than have private citizens fix them.
Yeah, because
it's insane.
They have a monopoly, and they know that there's no way they will lose their job because the government has the monopoly over it. So
if you
we have nothing to lose.
And this is like I go back to because there was this whole thing of Japan after this earthquake. This road was just fucked, and then within like a week, it was completely brand new. And people are like, well, that's different. Japan has to deal with earthquakes and this, and that. And I'm like, okay, but here's the thing. Yeah. I'm like, I've seen workers like the Army Corps of Engineers. They built this road overseas. They started and they didn't stop until it was finished. Like they worked through the night. They set up lights. They worked in shifts. There was somebody there working on the road from the first time they started laying down cement till it was completely finished. Nobody stopped working. They worked in shifts. People slept. Other people came to work.
And those people, did they work for the government or they just worked on their own accord?
Oh, no, it was the Army Corps of Engineers. It was the military.
I think that's like true nationalism because they care about their country and they want to fix what's broken,
But I mean, it was like, it's an example of if a job is taken with the right angle, like, with the right responsibility, it can be done efficiently so much quicker than when it's done. Yeah. I saw a group of local nationals. It was mostly Pakistanis and Pakistanis and Egyptians, because a lot of the Kuwaitis didn't do those like manual labor jobs because Kuwait's like a really rich country because of oil. So we worked with a lot of Egyptians and Pakistanis that would come to Kuwait for work, and they started building a dining facility, and they built it overnight. Like literal functioning, soldiers could go the next day and eat there
a dining facility.
Overnight. A dining facility.
So they would provide like the food and everything then?
Mm-hmm. Well, they have some government contractors that would do like that work. But yeah, like they had a group of local nationals come in, start building. The next day there was a dining facility there. A functioning dining facility. Like stuff can be done efficiently if it's taken with the right, mentality of like, we'll get this done efficiently. But a lot of government work is just, it's done with this mindset of let's drag it out.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because they get paid hourly no matter what happens. Yeah. And I mean, I used to the government. And I know
anybody could say, how many times do you drive past road construction and there's no actual road construction? Right. Like nothing's happening.
Like blocked off as road construction on those
roads.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But then they take like 6 months to 2 years to fix a road.
Well, shit, you see the roads here. I mean, the fucking interstates.
I know.
Well, okay, like you'll see a lot of times because they'll block off half the road to pave it, and then they'll switch. Yeah. And by the time they fix the second half of the road, the first half looks old as shit, like it's because it takes so long and it's being driven on so frequently. It no longer looks new. Yeah.
Like 2 years.
It's insane.
When you can literally in 6 months. If you had
well, not 6 months is even too long. I mean, like if it's done like if they took a section of the road and then they worked in 6-hour shifts.
Yeah.
Take four shifts. You have 6-hour shifts. People come in. The next group comes in. You have a night shift. You have a morning shift. You have 4 shifts going constantly. You could knock out a stretch of road in a month at least. Easily. I mean, a month might even be too much, to be honest. But they don't work like that. Yeah, it just doesn't. They don't work with this sense of what was the word?
Yeah,
it's just urgency. Yeah, it's just there's no like need to get the road done. They're going to get paid whether the road's fixed or not. So it doesn't matter. And the longer they take to fix the road, the longer they have a job and get paid. So
exactly.
Just
so
government contracting is shit.
You have an argument or you have a discussion with somebody who's not libertarian, and you go, "Oh, taxation is theft. Oh, what about my roads?" Yeah, I heard that one before 1,000 fucking times already.
Okay, yeah, it's hilarious when you actually see somebody make my roads argument, because I'm always just like, oh, I hear about it so much, but when you actually see it, it's pretty amazing. Like it's like seeing a 4-leaf clover or something. It's just this like unique thing. It's like, there's actually somebody who really legitimately thinks without government we wouldn't have roads. Like, that's amazing. Like, you people exist. I
still can't believe that people are actually okay with having their money just taken away without them actually, putting a check mark. I want my money.
No, like people, like somebody was giving me the argument that we have to be controlled, that we need government because people can't handle freedom and they need to be controlled. And I was just like, that doesn't sit right with me. And they're like, well, you think it sits right with me? I don't like it, but it's true. And I'm kind of like, well, we're just not going to agree on that, because they're
just conforming. They're basically just conforming to, government just taking their money. And like, oh, I mean, I have to do it. It's like, well, I mean, it's hard.
It's insane. It's insane.
Not play that game, because if you don't pay your taxes, I mean, look what happened to Wesley Snipes. You're not gonna pay your taxes, you're gonna go to jail for a while.
Because I've actually had somebody like argue that taxation wasn't forced, and I'm like, okay, what happens if you don't pay their taxes? Because I would say like taxes are taken by force, and they're like, no, they're not. I'm like, what happens if you don't pay their taxes? And they're like, it doesn't really happen. They don't come and take you to jail. I'm like, okay.
There's like a ton of fucking examples you can go to.
Yeah. That was a Bernie bot, though. So, yeah, that was a friend of mine I went to high school with, and she was like a big Bernie fan, and it was just, I was just like, you can't. I was actually told that the revolution I wanted, the liberty revolution I wanted, would only come from Bernie Sanders. I was like, he is the opposite of what I want. Yes. Okay, I'm like, that is not liberty. That is like...
Okay, he is like the ultimate hypocrite. Hey, everyone, we need to, give everybody money. We need to make it all flat. Yeah, how about you give somebody your fucking house? You have like 3-4 houses. How about you give one of those?
Yeah, right?
How much you have? How about you give someone who needs it? How about that, you fucking asshole?
But dude, he's such a dick, though. I mean, like, he talks down to everybody. Like, everybody's just ridiculous. But, like, he's just
I cannot
3 fucking houses.
I can't believe that there's people who literally like, oh, he's the most trustworthy politician. 80-year-old fucking person. Okay. He's president. He's dead in 4 years. I don't give a shit. Come at me, bro.
Yeah.
I hate you all.
That's what like people. What was the during the election? There was a whole.
What's happening in Venezuela? Oh, socialism.
Right. Oh no! People will argue that no, that wasn't actually socialism in Venezuela, and people are like,
they never say that about capitalism. Oh, this is real capitalism. Well, but when it's communism, it's not real communism. Fuck you.
Okay.
Okay. No, go ahead.
Streamed with Bunty today. I don't know if you know Bunty King, but
yes, but I love Bunty. Bunty's awesome.
He was streaming with a Marxist today, and it was
really God.
To hear the Marxist opinion on this, because he also said that those countries weren't real socialism.
Oh God.
No, but
it's never real socialism.
Yeah, and he was saying that anarcho-capitalism is an ideal that can't be reached. But in my opinion, I feel like anarcho-communism, which was what he was advocating for, is something that doesn't it's like a contradiction.
It's like the cat
running everything, but not have.
Yeah, it's like the guy I told you about, Matt the cat that does the Dankertarians. That guy's fucking crazy.
Plus, you had mentioned him that one time.
Yeah, and he said like when and where, but I'm not sure actually stream or not, because he talks a big game, but like the guy's such an idiot.
I asked him to stream because you had mentioned him, and he started asking all these questions like, well, who's going to be the moderator and who's going to do this and whatnot. And I'm like, well, you know, I mean, you don't have to if you don't want to, but I just like to have either a debate or, I don't know, just interview you, on what your points are, because I've seen his Facebook page, and it doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. He just the shit he said, like, you go through the Dankertarian's Twitter line alone, and like, because he'll tweet stuff from his Facebook.
And I just want to kill myself. I'm sorry, but like.
Yeah, it's so dumb. It's so incredibly dumb. And like, there was something where like somebody was doing like a Liberty follow thread, like I usually do, and then he had tweeted about like adding like incoms to the list, so like, you know, to break this idea that liberty is only for, you know, just capitalists and stuff.
Incoms don't make any, like, they seem like a contradiction to me. Like somebody.
It is. The name anarcho-communist is just, it's an oxymoron. It doesn't make any sense. You can't have communism and anarchy at the same time. Like, there was, what was this guy? I think you actually might have shared it, but he like had all this stuff of like, we need this, and this. Like, this is a right, and this is a right, and this is a right. And he's like, we need communism, and we need anarchy. And I was like, anarchy and communism? Like, you silly fucking retard. Like,
oxymoron.
No.
Yeah, it's just that they're two completely... those two ideas don't coexist, you know? They just can't. And like how they force them together makes no sense to me.
Well, their viewpoint is, because I was listening to this communist on Bunty's channel today, and he was saying that once you have socialism, you can achieve like pure individualism because you don't have to work, so you can focus on what you really like to do. But it's like, how do you get socialism without?
If nobody's working, then how do you survive? Like, who's making food? Where are you getting more money from to go get? Oh my god, that's so stupid.
I want to like hit my head on the wall. It's like, who's going to be providing labor then?
Right. Somebody has to work. You know, like.
Working provides just value. That's where we get the money from.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, like, if you want like a moneyless society, like, you know, there are merits to that, you know, like I'll admit, but like it just won't last. Okay, speaking of money, have you ever guys watched the show Raising Hope?
No.
No, is that on? Where's that on?
It's over now.
I think.
Have you ever heard of
Fox? Right.
It was on.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of? Did you hear of My Name Is Earl with Jason?
I haven't.
Okay.
The Raising Hope is by the same guy.
Okay.
Yeah, they actually all, like, the people from My Name Is Earl make a cameo at some point in Raising Hope.
Oh, cool.
It's this guy who he has a one-night stand with a girl, and then she turns out to be a serial killer. And they like turn her in, and then she has her baby in jail, and then she gets executed. So he gets stuck with the kid.
Oh wow!
And he's like just a complete idiot, and his family are just morons and stuff like that. And they're like poor, and how they just deal with like having this little kid at the house is hilarious. It's a great show. But they have this episode where the mom and the dad kind of like. They like the guy he has a lawn service, and he like mows this guy's lawn in exchange for lobster, and it gives him this idea of like exchanging services, for like to get lobster for free.
Lobster?
Yeah, like the food lobster. Yeah, so they get this idea of exchanging services and you know, for other services or things instead of money, you know. So they get this group of people in on it. And then eventually there comes the conflict of, well, you know, I provide this service, but this guy doesn't need that service, and I want something that he has. How do we solve that problem? So they come up with the idea of printing their own money to be a stand-in for services, like I'll provide this service and you give me, you'll give me some of these, like this money we made. So they made their own little economy. And then what happens is the guy and his wife decide they don't want to have to keep providing their services to get the stuff that they want. So they print a bunch more money to exchange for the stuff that they want. So they end up flooding the market. And all the cash, the value of their money goes down and dwindles. And they created this own inflation in their little economy, and it all falls apart. And at the end of the episode is them talking about it, and they're like, well, it's a good thing the government, is smarter than us, like.
Oh my God.
And it was this amazing commentary on like inflation and overprinting and the federal government. It is so incredibly good, and I wish more people would see it. Like, I think it might be on Netflix right now, or Hulu at least.
We should look at that.
Definitely. It just when you get to that episode, it is like one of the most libertarian episodes of television I've ever seen. It is like such a great commentary on the American economy and how the government fucks things up. And it was so subtle, and then they just blatantly like give it away at the end too. It's so hilarious. That's like my absolute favorite episode of that show. It happens like way later in the show. I think there's like 4 seasons. I think it happens in the last season. The show starts to become less about the guy and his kid and more about the mom and the dad, because they're like much more interesting characters.
Yeah.
But it's a really good show. But yeah, definitely if you watch it, that episode is so good. It's such a great commentary.
You want to ask something?
There's a question in the chat. It says, without money, how do we motivate people to contribute to society? And how do we keep track of people's contributions?
So you were cutting out a little bit. Can you start again?
Yeah, sorry. It says, without money, how do we motivate people to contribute to society? And how do contribute?
Well, and that's what I was talking about in that episode, where there will arise a problem where if you're just doing an exchange of services, not everybody's going to want the service you provide, and you're going to want something from somebody who doesn't need your service. How do you handle that? And that's where the idea of money comes in. I do think, federally backed money is just ridiculous. Like, it's worthless. In reality, I think we should be going to a gold standard or something like that. Bitcoin is doing exceptionally well on this because it's not affected by the government right now. That's why the government wants to regulate it so bad, is because it does so well without them.
They can't regulate it.
Yeah. And I think there's merits to the concept of doing a moneyless society. I don't think it's practical, to be honest.
Do you invest in Bitcoin and those other?
I don't. I really, really need to. There's. Have you guys heard of Think Liberty? They're not as big on Twitter, but they have I think they're like 10,000 on Facebook or something like that.
I've heard of them, but I haven't.
You've probably seen their memes. They make the rounds quite a bit on Twitter and different places. Like Mance Raider will post some of them sometimes. Larry Sharp posts them sometimes. Yeah. They have their logo is like a torch and it says Think Liberty and Yeah. But they have this little group online that I'm a part of. I don't actually provide material for them, but I'm like a part of this little family group that they have. And people post all the time like, hey, I invested in Bitcoin. I'm a real libertarian now. Yeah. So I need to, because I see all the time, it just keeps going, the value keeps going up and up and up. When I was in Kuwait, the Kuwaiti dinar was so strong. The exchange rate, we had this one mission. We had to go to the civilian airport, and there was this deal that the American government had worked out with the Kuwaiti government where we weren't allowed to show a military presence at the airport. So we had to go pick up these 2 civilians, and we couldn't wear our uniforms. We had to put on civilian clothes. We couldn't take our weapons either. So we had to go without our rifles, which was freaky, you know, because you're in this like complete other country where God knows what could end up happening. But you couldn't have any protection. You're used to having your rifle with you at all times over there. So we were there, and then they got delayed by an hour. So we were just wandering around the airport. I pulled out 10 Kuwaiti dinars from the an ATM, and it cost me over $30 because the exchange rate was so high. I still have 6 of those Kuwaiti dinars in a box somewhere. I kept them. I only spent 4. But there were people overseas, and I always wish I would have done it because the exchange rate just kept going up, and people were buying Kuwaiti dinars a bunch. They'd wait until the end of their deployment and then exchange it back, and people were making like hundreds of dollars that way. Just by doing nothing, just trading. Like monthly, they would trade in a chunk of their check they got for Kuwaiti dinars, and then when they left, they switched it all back, and people were making money that way. I always felt like bad for not doing that, so I'm always like, hey, Bitcoin's kind of in that same realm. I should do that because the exchange rate keeps going up.
That is true. We've invested like a really small amount in Bitcoin.
Yeah, it was insane. How much is 1 Bitcoin now?
It's crazy. Like what? Yeah, like $4,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like thousands of dollars, right? Like
yeah, it's like you can't even buy 1 Bitcoin, but you can invest. You can still invest.
Well, not just
There's other, I know you can invest like fractions, but yeah.
There's other cryptocurrencies you can do, like Litecoin.
Oh, okay. A libertarian, like my daughter's friend, her parents are libertarians. They told us about this thing called CryptoKitty, where you invest. Yeah, it's an app. You invest money, and then you raise these like virtual cats, and then people will buy your cats.
Oh wow!
Like for real money, you know. And then you'll keep raising them. You invest your money into your cat. Then you can eventually sell your cat to somebody else for money. And like it's just this like form of like investing money into cryptocurrency and turning it into an actual game, basically.
Oh, wow. Cool. That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to check it out. It's called CryptoKitty. It sounds really cool. Like she invests in it all the time, and I guess it does well for her. So I mean, if you're somebody who likes to play around on your phone with different games and stuff, and especially if you like cats, it's worth checking out.
Yeah. So we have a couple of other things that, you know, we can continue finishing with the memo, or we can ask another unrelated question. What do you want to do?
Let's go with unrelated question. Those have been fun.
All right. So an unrelated question. What's your thoughts on pineapples on pizza?
That's so stupid, but it's true. That's
okay.
A debate for some reason.
Yeah, I know. That's ridiculous.
I don't like pineapple on pizza.
Oh my God, here we go. Argue away.
But I'm fine with people liking it. I don't think it's an abomination. I think it's just weird to me. But
you don't like pizza, like, you know, with the ham.
No. Here's like the only thing I like on pizza. The only thing I like on pizza is pepperoni. I don't like anything else on pizza.
Really?
I'm like really picky when it comes to pizza.
He's real picky on pizza.
Nothing. Peppers, sausage, nothing. Like just pepperoni.
Boring person.
And I will get as much pepperoni as I can on a pizza too. Like I love going to Domino's because they do a double pepperoni thing.
Oh,
they used to do a triple pepperoni, which was amazing because it was just like this giant cake of grease.
I love pepperoni, but I like pepperoni with pineapple. I don't know if that's like a weird thing.
I don't know. I just like I don't like the taste of pineapple that much. I don't know. I don't know how well. Okay, and I'll be honest. I've never tried it, so I can't say it tastes gross.
What are you talking about, dude?
No, I've never tried pineapple on pizza.
Again, okay. What are you talking about?
I've had pineapple before. But no, I've never tried pineapple on pizza, but like, I don't know. I guess I can't, like, I have this mental block about it. It just sounds so strange to me. I can't bring myself to take a bite of it. Also, if I don't like it, I don't want to ruin an entire pizza with it, you know?
Yeah, true. You want like a slice or something.
Yeah, I'm like, if I'm gonna order a pizza, I'm gonna make sure it's a pizza I'm gonna consume all of. So if somebody else sometime around me has it, I'll probably try it. I don't think I know anybody in my life that likes pineapples on pizza.
It's just funny because that becomes like more controversial than like politics.
Yes. Oh, in that thing, yeah, Liberty family group I'm in, there's posts all the time about pineapple pizza. It's hilarious. It's pretty.
The redhead libertarian agrees with us that pineapple.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So I'm like on her side.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Actually, I know someone who blocked me who doesn't like pineapples on pizza. And his name is Hustler. I'm calling you out, motherfucker.
Wait, really?
Oh, hey. Speaking of calling people out, I promised a shout out for Maya Mew on Twitter. She has a YouTube channel. She's a trans girl. She has a YouTube channel. I think it's called Hiya I'm Maya or something like that. It's like HIYA, I'm MAYA. I think that's the name of her YouTube channel. She didn't have a lot of videos out, but they're really, really good. She does some commentary on stuff. She did one on like the what's that?
Is it Mayu? MAYU?
No, it's her Twitter name is like MAYAMEWWWW or something like that.
Okay, I have like a trans follower who has a YouTube, like a pretty good YouTube. We're planning to stream sometime, but her name is Mayu, so it's like really similar to Maya.
Yeah, her that's her Twitter handle, or her @ thing. Her name on there right now is like a small oppressed YouTuber or something like that.
Wait, no, that's the same person. That's the same person.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, she's really cool. I like her a lot. She's a lot of fun. What was her? She said something about like traps are provided by the free market or something like that. Like yeah.
That's funny.
But I was looking for topics to talk about on a live stream. That was her suggestion. She's fun though.
I wanted to get her on a live stream, but I think we're gonna have to get like a few more people on to like, because like she's quiet and I'm quiet, so it's like.
Oh. Well, I would always, anytime you guys want me on, let me know. I would love to come back on. It was definitely a lot of fun.
If you joined our live stream, that would probably get us talking.
Yeah. I mean, I can ramble on as you noticed. So.
Yeah. We've been on those. We've been on those before for sure.
Well, he's like a good talker, but I'm not really like I'm good at like writing. Like that's my But when it comes to live,
I wouldn't have guessed you were a quiet person. I wouldn't have guessed that. You handle yourself very well on Twitter.
Yeah, she's pretty. I mean, she's pretty loud on Twitter. I mean, I'm sure you've.
Yeah, but it's because it's written down.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's true.
It's easier.
I think it depends on the topic because when we're talking about you were just off.
Oh,
yeah.
That sounds ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was watching.
Yeah. No, we should do, it would be cool to do a live stream to like to actually talk to a flat earther. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
I would love to be in on a conversation like that.
Someone to come on.
Yeah.
I've tried to even get like a feminist to come on, and the only person who's agreed to come on is Christy Winters. I don't know if you know who she is, but.
Wait, what was her name again?
Agreed to have gotten to agree.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of feminists too. They're like skeptic of coming on any live streams like that because they're worried they're just going to get attacked. But also they can't handle their views being questioned. Have you tried talking to Lacey Green? She's been really open to live streams lately.
She's so popular now, though, that like it's hard to get hold of her.
Yeah, I'd probably get flooded.
Yeah. She's really taken off, especially since her and Chris Reagan have been going together.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely tweeted at her and quoted at her with like sarcastic.
Yeah.
How you're stupid.
What would be fun sometime is to try to get me and my brother on at the same time.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. He would be a lot of fun in a live stream. He's never done one before, so
that'd be interesting. Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because we like agree on most stuff, but I don't think me and him would like have much debate between us. But when me and him talk politics, we'll just go off forever. So
yeah, it's
yeah.
funny too, because my dad and I are kind of like that too. Whenever we talk, it
Yeah.
always ends up, going to politics.
Yeah.
And you see what he said? So stupid, right? Yeah.
Well, yeah, me and my brother, we'll go on. The typical rounds is politics and movies, and then sometimes like comic book stuff. But that's usually politics and movies is our two big things. But we'll talk. Like if he calls me, I'm like prepared for like a 3-hour discussion. We'll talk for a long time. I think it's because we don't get to see each other that much, So like when we have an actual phone conversation, it can go on for quite a while. But yeah, we'll definitely like that would be great to have get both of us on sometime for like a live stream like that.
Yeah, so this definitely is a good time, I think, to end. We've been going for an hour and a half.
Yeah. Oh shit. Yeah, I gotta get downstairs. I got kids waiting on me.
yeah. So if there's
thanks so much for having me on, guys. This was really fun. So
yeah, definitely. Anytime. If you want to plug anything,
your website.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. www.sarcasmandliberty.com. That's the website. We got some articles on there now. My brother did one about Trump. What was it? It was something to do with Trump. It was very satirical. Oh, it was based off his first year in office. It was really, really funny. My county chair did a article on the whole Hawaii missile thing. There's something I wrote about like this local business I went to that had like they actually were carrying. One of them had like a big ass revolver. It looked like a 357. It was huge. But I wrote a big story about that. So we got some more stuff coming, like Funny Libertarians working on one. I'm talking to some other people about possibly writing some stuff. I'm going to do one based off of how my time at the Veterans Administration Hospital has made me very anti government healthcare. Which would be a great topic for a live stream sometime, actually, because I got stories. I mean, like I literally was to a point where I was coming close to killing myself.
Yeah, being in the military and seeing all the atrocities of it would definitely take a toll.
Yeah, it was. I mean, like I was in. It was this last year because I was in so much pain. I was to the point that I was physically hurting myself to try to distract from the pain, and then I was about coming to the point where I was like, I would have ended up killing myself. The VA wanted me to go home and wait it out. They didn't want to do anything. Yeah. I ended up having to go to a civilian hospital. They put me in surgery the next day.
So much
they were like, oh,
the Department of Veterans.
Oh yeah.
Good work.
Yeah.
Good work.
No, yeah, it's nuts. If you check out The Veteran's Wife on Facebook, there's two The Veteran's Wife. There's one that's like a t-shirt thing. Don't go to them because they steal stuff from people. But yeah, there's The Veteran's Wife. It's a nonprofit organization my wife is a co-founder of that helps veteran families. If you go there, it should just be theveteranswife.com, and that's the website, and then that should be their Facebook. If you go there and go to the photos, you can see The Veteran Life, which is a comic strip that I write based off of my experiences. I posted one of I don't know if you saw the one of the girl seeing like a mom like trying to get her kid to go to the dentist.
Yeah, I saw
like,
yeah.
Yeah, well, okay, the guy that did that artwork too, he's the one that's going to do that comic strip with you guys in it.
Oh,
yeah. He's the chibi, yeah. He's on board for that. I was like, can you do chibi? He's like, yeah, I can do chibi. He's really good. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So,
we're actually
I can't wait either. Yeah, it's going to be cool.
Yeah, we're actually considering incorporating it into our YouTube videos, like in the intro or something like that. We'll see how.
Nice. That'd be cool. Well, I mean, hell, if you want him to draw like you guys as chibi, if you like the way you look in the comic strip, he would be more than willing. I mean, he does commissions full time. That's his job.
Oh, that'd be tight.
Yeah, he'll definitely do it. I mean, like me and him have like a going rate for comic strips because I like go to him so much because he's like the most reliable guy I know, and like he's got this great mixture of talent and reliability. So if you ever need some good artwork, I can hook you up with him.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, that'd be much appreciated.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so yeah, again, thanks for joining us.
So, real quick.
Yeah.
Cynical Stew, as in STEW. That's my own comic strip that I write.
Okay.
It's I'll after this I'll post a couple strips on Twitter. I'll tag you guys in it so you can see what they look like. If you go to empirecomicsLab.com, all my strips are posted there. Cynical Stew is the name of it. I'm on Facebook and Twitter as well under that name.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, definitely tag us in those. Yeah, we'll definitely check them out.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
awesome.
So again, thanks a lot, Josh, for joining us.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I hope everyone that joined the chat and saw the live stream had a good time. And definitely check out the memo because I didn't get to finish it, but
Yes, I need to. I want to hear more about your. I'll look forward to if you're going to tweet more about it. I'd love to hear more what you got to say because.
I mean, for anything, I might just read the whole damn thing. And why the fuck not?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if you do a YouTube video on it, that would be great because I'd love to hear all of your thoughts.
I'm actually thinking about that. Yeah, I'm thinking.
That would be great. That would be great.
Yeah, but again, all right. Thanks for joining us, Josh. I really appreciate it.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, guys. Yeah. I gotta sign off because I hear kids calling me downstairs. So.
All right. All right. Have a good night.
See ya. Bye, everybody.
Bye.